Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're going to completely rethink everything you thought you knew about living a long, healthy life. We are talking about reverse engineering our daily habits to achieve a literal, pain-free, extended health span. And you know what the best part is? We're going to do this without falling for frustrating fad diets, confusing nutritional studies, or those toxic hustle culture myths that tell you sleep is for the weak. Instead, we're looking at hard biological facts. Let's jump right in.
Here's our roadmap for today. First, the 3 determinants of health span. Then, sleep as the brain's cleaning time. Third, diet, and why when matters way more than what. After that, cellular autophagy and intermittent fasting. Then we'll cover exercise, specifically mitochondria and zone 2. And finally, completing your 100-year health span.
Okay, Section 1. The 3 determinants of health span, or what we can call the hierarchy of longevity.
You see, the real secret to a long life isn't some magic pill, it's not an exotic superfood, or a highly complex medical intervention. It's actually built on a very strict hierarchy of daily biological habits. Now, when we think about health, we typically obsess over our food and our workouts, right? But listen to how this breaks down. Sleep is number 1. In fact, sleep is literally more important than diet and exercise combined. Think about it this way. Sleep is actually our biological default state. We don't just happen to sleep because we're tired from living. It's more like we occasionally wake up from our default sleeping state just to gather food, work, and survive before returning to our baseline. Treating sleep as an afterthought? It's fundamentally working against human biology.
Moving to Section 2. Sleep, the brain's cleaning time or the mechanical dishwasher.
We really need to completely shatter the illusion that sleep is just a passive, unproductive break from waking life. For decades, hustle culture treated sleep deprivation as a badge of honor. You know the type, oh, I only need 4 hours of sleep. Well, the idea that you can be healthy on 4 hours is a complete lie. High-profile leaders like Margaret Thatcher and Ronald Reagan famously claimed to thrive on minimal sleep, and tragically, both later developed Alzheimer's disease. There's a crystal-clear, scientifically backed link between a chronic lack of sleep and severe cognitive decline.
And just to show you exactly how sensitive your heart is to sleep, consider what happens during daylight saving time. When we spring forward and lose just 1 single hour of sleep, global hospital data shows a massive 24% spike in heart attacks the very next day. 24%. Conversely, when we fall back and gain an hour of sleep in the autumn, heart attack rates actually drop by 21%. So if losing just 1 hour does that to your heart, imagine what chronic sleep deprivation is doing to your entire body.
This all builds into an absolutely incredible biological mechanism. Back in 2013, scientists discovered the glymphatic system. When you sleep, the supporting cells in your brain, called glial cells, actually shrink by nearly 50%. This physical shrinkage opens up space between your neurons. Then, cerebrospinal fluid rushes into these newly opened spaces, literally washing away the accumulated metabolic waste and toxins from the day. It's like a mechanical dishwasher for your mind. If you cut your sleep short, you interrupt this wash cycle, leaving dementia-causing proteins stuck right there inside your brain.
All right, Section 3, Diet. The blood sugar strategy and why when you eat matters most.
So now that our brains are clean, let's discard that exhausting, confusing debate about exactly what you should be eating. Most dietary advice out there relies on deeply flawed epidemiological surveys where people basically just guess what they ate over the last year. These studies are absolutely full of confounding factors. For instance, if a study says red meat causes cancer, well, is it the meat? Or is it that the heavy meat eaters in the study also drank more wine, smoked more, and ate fewer vegetables? It's almost impossible to isolate. And that's exactly why the true science of longevity shifts away from what we eat to when we eat. Aligning your meals with your circadian rhythm and managing your blood sugar peaks is a far more reliable, scientifically sound strategy.
Of course, there are a few fundamental rules we should all agree on. Avoid liquid fructose, like the sugary syrups and sodas, and avoid trans fats entirely. They have zero health benefits. But beyond that, it's really all about sequence to avoid massive insulin spikes. The rule is simple. Always eat your vegetables and proteins first, and save your carbohydrates for last. This incredibly simple meal sequencing physically blunts the release of glucose into your bloodstream, which protects your blood vessels from inflammatory spikes.
Which brings us to Section 4, cellular autophagy and intermittent fasting, the body's internal recycling program.
This focus on timing brings us directly to one of the most exciting longevity discoveries of our time. Let's mentally map this out with a highly actionable timeline. Imagine you finish dinner at 6 p.m. By 10 p.m., you go to sleep on an empty stomach. This guarantees deeper rest because your body isn't wasting all its energy on digestion. By 6 a.m., which is hour 12, autophagy officially kicks in. You ride that metabolic wave all morning and finally break your fast around 11 a.m. Now you might be wondering, wait, what about breakfast? Well, the idea that you absolutely must eat immediately upon waking is literally a 20th century myth. The traditional quick breakfast of toast, jam, and a tea bag was invented for factory workers in the industrial age to get them to the assembly line on time. It's not a biological necessity at all.
So the crucial point here is understanding what autophagy actually is. When your body realizes there are no incoming calories, it doesn't just panic and start eating your healthy muscle. Our biology is way smarter than that. It knows we need our muscles to go hunt for our next meal. Instead, the body starts breaking down old, damaged, and aging cells for fuel. It literally eats its own cellular garbage to survive. This is the ultimate built-in anti-aging biohack, and it's coded right inside your own DNA.
But there is a massive catch, and this is exactly where the pillars connect. If you exercise regularly, your body is primed, and that magical autophagy activates after just 12 hours of fasting. But if you live a sedentary lifestyle without exercise, your body is sluggish, and it takes a grueling 36 hours of fasting to trigger that exact same cellular cleanup. So physical movement is the ultimate catalyst. It makes your fasting work exponentially faster.
That naturally leads us into Section 5, exercise, mitochondria, and Zone 2, the mathematical formula for vitality.
You see, exercise isn't just a tool for burning off a heavy lunch. We're looking at exercise as a specific biological mechanism to upgrade the mitochondria, the powerhouses within our cells. You've likely heard of Zone 2 training. It's a low-intensity aerobic state where the amount of oxygen you breathe in perfectly matches the oxygen your muscles are using. You're hovering right at the lactic acid threshold. And let's clear something up right now. Lactic acid is not some enemy that just causes pain and soreness. When kept balanced in Zone 2, lactic acid is actually a brilliant secondary energy source for your body. The goal here isn't to gasp for air, it's to train your cells to process oxygen with absolute perfect efficiency.
And the math to find your specific biohacking sweet spot is brilliantly simple. You don't need any expensive lab equipment. Just take the number 220 and subtract your current age to find your maximum heart rate. If you're 50 years old, that's 170 beats per minute. Then just multiply that by 0.65. For a 50-year-old, that gives a target of roughly 110 beats per minute. All you have to do is put on a smartwatch, start a light jog, a brisk walk, or hop on a stationary bike and maintain that 110 BPM for about 30 to 40 minutes. That's it. It's not exhausting, it's totally sustainable, and it fundamentally rebuilds your cellular engine.
Finally, Section 6. Completing your 100-year health span, the synergy of the three pillars.
When we pull back and look at the big picture, the path to a 100-year health span isn't found in a single, isolated fad. These three pillars do not exist in a vacuum. Your Zone 2 exercise accelerates your fasting autophagy, which repairs the cells, and then your deeply structured sleep washes the brain to consolidate all the biological gains you made that day. They function as one unified, brilliant biological system. Which leaves us with this final provocative question based on the insights from our source material. Take a hard look at your routine today. Are your daily habits, your sleep schedule, your meal timing, your movement slowly building up your ultimate health span, or are they silently fueling future disease? The absolute beauty of this science is that it is entirely in your hands. You don't need a prescription to change when you eat, to calculate your Zone 2 heart rate, or to prioritize your sleep tonight. You can start redesigning your biological destiny right now. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.